Are we excited about the Gloomhaven RPG that was recently announced at PAX Unplugged? That's the question. This is a Monday Musings episode over here on Quack Co, the board game channel, where every video is 10 minutes or less guaranteed. And because we have played Gloomhaven, and I'm currently playing through the digital version of Gloomhaven, because we're sitting down and diving through as much Frosthaven as we can today, we're also asking the question, RPG? Andrew, what do you think?
So, I'm excited for this.
You're excited for this?
I am.
One, you aren't an RPG.
No, I'm not an RPG player.
Yeah. Two, you're getting rid of Frosthaven. It's too big.
Yeah, but that's part of it, right?
Okay.
We've been setting up Frosthaven on the table in front of us for...
Hour and a half?
For a minute now.
Yeah.
And part of what's exciting about the Gloomhaven RPG is there's less of this in front of us.
There's more of that though for a DM in a way.
Yeah, for the DM, sure, but there's less bits. There's less decks of cards. There's fewer types of tokens you need to manage, and you get to enjoy the Gloomhaven world and lore and universe without this.
I just don't think that I need it. Like that's the part that I'm conflicted on is I am compelled by it, but it's kind of a paired thing, right? It makes sense to do an RPG. I think it makes all the sense in the world for them. They have a strong IP. They have cool characters.
Absolutely.
And the RPG does seem like it's doing some things in a unique way. Like it's trying to minimize the degree of randomness.
Sure.
So you actually have for your skill checks or your stats, you're going to be using cards, apparently, to activate your abilities, to do cool things where you leap off a tree and stab someone in the throat. But I'm curious to see if they still have a D20 system or anything like that.
Totally.
Because on my end, I like that in an RPG. I like crit fails. I like crit wins, right? But then on top of that, it's also selling the miniatures line for all of Gloomhaven.
Yeah.
Which I think makes sense to pair with an RPG. But at the same time, I don't know that I need more of this. I don't know that I love RPGs. I am an RPG.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I need my core box of Gloomhaven to turn into this mesh kit of stuff to use for a role-playing game. Or I don't know that I need more character classes beyond what I already have accessible to me. It's neat that I can combine any type of characters that I want into their own class.
Sure.
And have their own ability combinations. But I don't know that I need that. I don't even know that I want that.
See, I guess I see it a little differently. I have friends who are RPG players who may enjoy the Gloomhaven RPG. I don't know. I think it'd be an interesting thing to test out with them. The RPG does at least claim to have some element of hand management associated with it, which I think for me...
It's supposed to have a similar card system to what we have here in Gloomhaven.
Yeah, there's not a ton of details about what it looks like yet, but I think for me, one of the most compelling parts of Gloomhaven is the hand management system. It's what cards do you play when, it's what's worth sacrificing now versus holding off for a bigger win later. And if some of that element is brought over into the RPG, along with a simplified system and a way for RPG players who are not necessarily board gamers to find it accessible and interesting, that to me checks a lot of boxes for certain types of experiences and groups that I could enjoy this kind of thing with.
But one of the best parts about the hand management in Gloomhaven or in Frosthaven is how balanced it is to the actual scenario and state of the game.
Totally.
You oftentimes run up to the last clutch moment.
Yeah.
I found that in the game. I found that in the video game that I'm playing through. That it's so satisfying to be at that 1 or 2 card limit and close the door on the scenario, right? And to finish it. I don't trust a DM to manage that. I don't trust a DM to balance that experience. So with the card play system, how tight, how critical can they get if they're also relying on a DM to actually be flexible with the atmosphere or flexible with the rules? One of the things a DM has control over is the ability to moderate the degree of stress. And I don't know that I want in a not luck-ridden system, I don't know that I need someone there moderating. What should make someone want to play the RPG as opposed to just playing the game that runs the game for you?
No, and I totally get that. I'm super curious to see how the actual implementation of the RPG works out and what's on the DM versus the system itself. to better understand that. 'Cause I think you make a really
or the
great
GM, I suppose, the Gloom Master.
the Gloom Master, sure.
It's a cool title.
Oh, totally.
I actually would own that title.
It is. It's a great title. But if there is enough balance that comes from the system itself versus what's on the GM, I think there's something potentially there. So end of the day, I'm excited for it. I think there is a lot of potential in what's already here. I like the character classes that we already see, coming out of both Gloomhaven, Frosthaven, etc.
I mean, they've redefined how a lot of us view stereotypical classes, right?
Absolutely.
You get a berserker, like someone with like a big mallet that should be able to just crunch through people, and he turns out to be like the sentimental, like bard type person. Like
Absolutely.
the bard's there acting like slicing people's throat. He's just like a cut blade. Like, they've done a good job at that. I think it makes all the sense in the world for them to expand into an RPG world. I'm just not convinced that I need it.
And totally. And
I should be. I should be excited. Like way more than I am.
Well, and I shouldn't be excited, but I am.
That's interesting.
And I mean, Isaac Childress has been a little bit hit or miss on games that are not Gloomhaven in the past, right? Gloomhaven, huge success, obviously, but if you've played Founders of Gloomhaven, that game had problems, and that was a similar, hand management kind of game. So definitely some room for trepidation there. I'm hopeful that being in the same universe, being able to rely on the same type of system will bring out something truly great. But, to your point, it might come down to having a really good Gloom Master, and if that isn't something the game builds out and supports or makes sort of easy on that person, there could be problems there. You're absolutely correct.
So the stuff that I am excited about when it comes to it is the fact that all the assets you have turn into stuff to use.
Yeah, that's
really
cool. That's awesome.
Like that's like a legacy game, which is a box full of stuff that's no longer necessary.
Yeah.
Turns into a box full of like potential new experiences.
So is that possibly one step too ambitious, though? I guess when I hear that, I worry that they're going to try to be, too all-encompassing and let too many things come in as opposed to delivering one, like, core, really solid product.
See, I'm not intimidated about that, though, because already when you're approaching an RPG system, I'm grabbing stuff from a dozen different areas, right? I'm grabbing tiles from one game, miniatures from another. I'm buying, like, the D&D, cards that give my characters status effects. Like, I'm trying to be the best GM or DM that I can be.
Yeah.
And so the fact that I'll just have this mesh kit that I can approach, and I, as the person running the game, because I love being a GM, I can then moderate what I actually give to my community, like what I give to the players.
Yeah.
But I have a kit to use instead of running and grabbing a bunch of stuff. That's really exciting to me.
Okay, because as a not RPG player, that element sort of stresses me out. It's like, what is the right experience? What is the good experience? And if it was my job to moderate that in a lot of detail, that would feel like an intimidating task.
I guess one of the puzzles is, are you ever the GM?
Would I be the GM?
Yeah.
I don't know. It would depend on the
versus
group.
playing. Because I'm always the GM. I love being the GM. And that might be one of the reasons why I'm less excited about this.
Yeah.
Because it's a new system.
Yeah.
I already know D&D. I love running D&D. And I love running D&D supplements or modules or games that are working in the framework that I already know. I don't love running Pathfinder. Not because Pathfinder is not a brilliant system, but like, I don't want to have to relearn so much stuff. There's like Blades in the Dark and things like that, which are brilliant and amazing and fun to run, but it's because they make it so accessible.
Yeah.
And so I, as a GM, am looking at this and I'm like, do I now start spending time, so much time, getting a good campaign up and running for my group, or do I just play Frosthaven with them?
Yeah.
Like, why should I put in so much effort to create this crafted experience versus just playing with them in an experience that already exists?
Well, but you're saying just playing with them. How many hours have we spent getting to this point here?
100%. No, I agree. But now we're here.
There's still a lot of upkeep, a lot of work to be done.
But that's still true in the RPG as well.
The idea of packing this game up right now, if we didn't have a table to put it under, like, it stresses me out. Like, if I were playing this in my house, I don't have a dedicated space to keep this level of stuff open and available on it.
You're 100% right, but the RPG doesn't fix that. The RPG, for me as a GM, just adds those layers of stress on top of something that's already ambitious.
Yeah.
Whereas I think as a player, more Gloomhaven, more Frosthaven, more cool cards abilities, more like exploring this world sounds really appealing.
Yeah.
And that might be one of the big reservations I have. I don't know that I am ready to run this thing.